So I've been putting myself out there into these select community spaces that I have found through a lot of effort, actually. It took me, I would say, 6 months or a little bit more than that to be able to dwindle down to like 2 to 3 community spaces that I could foresee myself re-entering again and again. As I have been consistently entering these community spaces, I've also been developing acquaintances, initiating friendships with people, and I want to share what I have learned throughout this process, especially as someone who I guess previously could identify with the narrative that I don't have friends. Other than my partner, I don't have friends. But I'm letting go of that narrative because it's not true anymore. Speaking of narratives, I think it's really important to talk about some beliefs that we could hold that could prohibit us from being open or receptive to creating these types of meaningful friendships that we're looking for in the first place. I think it's really common that a lot of people could say that making friends as an adult is hard, it's rare, it's inconvenient. And while there might be truth in all of these things, I personally don't say those things because it's not the reality that I want to live. And even though it might feel like there's a lot of truth to those types of sentiments, at the end, what it's doing is it's preventing us from recognizing opportunities to make friendships, and it also gives us an excuse to not build up courage to put ourselves out there when the opportunity is literally there waiting for us to just go after it. So some narratives that I like to say to myself about adult friendships is adult friendships are sacred, they're meaningful, they require, at least the types of friendships I'm looking for, that require commitment and honesty, and they are also easeful. That's like a pretty important thing for me. In the past, I think a narrative that I held that really brought a lot of suffering in my life and in those connections was that I thought that intimate, meaningful friendships required a lot of work and building. And there is truth to that, but I certainly was taking it out of balance, and I was committing myself to connections that weren't really compatible for me, but I was set on making it work with that person. What that did was actually create a lot of suffering for me and also for that person, because this is a truth that I am coming into now, that everyone is deserving of people who accept them, who they feel comfortable around, who they also feel like it's easy to be themselves around. People are deserving of that. So being on the receiving end of friendship breakups and also initiating certain friendship breakups as well, I've realized that truly to let the other person go, or to openly say that maybe we're not right for each other and it's okay to let the friendship drift, is us liberating the other person, because everyone deserves to feel loved. A hard pill that I swallowed was that just because I have an ability to love someone, or that I have love for someone, it does not mean that I like them. And I'm realizing that, yeah, I could convince myself, or actually this could be the reality for me, that I have love for someone through nostalgia, through memories from the past. But I realize that if I don't fully like them, then that friendship is bound to kind of become heavier and heavier as time goes on, as both parties try to force it. Because I think there does need to be this genuine likeness between two people. Like, oh, I like you, you like me. Like, oh, I really vibe with you. I want to get to know you more. I like spending time with you. From my past community, I was finding comfort in the distance between me and certain people. You know how for like old long-term friendships, when we don't really vibe with them that much anymore, we could find a lot of comfort with only hanging out with them once a year. And once that once a year situation passes, we could be like, oh, okay, that's good. I don't have to hang out with them for another year. But I just don't want, to spend my sacred time and energy, and also their sacred time and energy, in our one and only precious life, carrying out my friendships under those circumstances. It just feels like it's rooted in dishonesty, because it is, and it's kind of like wasting everyone's time. And maybe people have very different perspectives on friendship. But for me, truly community and being around like-minded people who I feel supported and loved by, and who I'm able to also support and love other people too, is one of the most important jewels of life. So I knew that when I was entering into this period of solitude, in the in-betweenness, this liminal space between my past community and my future community, that the solitude wasn't meant to be forever. It was just here so I could recoup, reflect, integrate the lessons that I've learned, and move forward with more love to give for the people that are right for me and who I'm right for them. And looping back to the point that I started this video off with, that adult friendships could be easeful. The reason why I started thinking that way is because I realized from actually initiating conversation and initiating hangouts with these strangers that I meet in these community spaces, most people are down to hang out, and most people are actually waiting for other people to come up to them. Because people who are putting themselves out there, or like going to these events or community spaces, they're doing it because they're craving deep, meaningful connections in their life. But they might not necessarily have the courage yet, or the openness maybe, to initiate conversations with strangers. They could be pretty self-conscious. So I'm recognizing that, yeah, most people want more friends in their life. They want meaningful friendships in their life. So that's just what I remember as I go up to people and talk to them. I ask them, like, oh, is this your first time here? Like, how'd you find out about this space? What's your practice like, etc., etc. Like, whatever questions are relevant to the community space that you want to enter. And I think as an adult, that probably is the most natural and easeful way to meet more like-minded people who share the same values, by literally going to those spaces where your future friends would naturally gather. For me, that's places rooted in meditation, mindfulness, things like that. I've been finding it so exciting to go up to people and, ask them questions and see like how everyone responds, how everyone reacts is so different. But for the most part, I can say that people are so open and so loving, because I think no matter how full someone's life is, chances are that that individual is also experiencing maybe a percentage of loneliness, a version of loneliness, because loneliness is a feeling that does not exclude anyone, no matter how full their life is. It comes to us at different points in time, at different intensities. So just remembering that, yeah, people are suffering, and like you're not the only one who also wants to make friends, makes it a lot less overwhelming and like daunting with handling the prospect of maybe being the person to initiate new connections. I'm also learning that even though I'm meeting people in these designated community spaces where there is this umbrella of similar values, that it's still totally valid for me to come to the conclusion that I might not vibe with someone. That doesn't mean that I can't hold space for them. I can't appreciate their presence in the world and in this space. But what this period of solitude has done for me is it gave me a lot of space to be very clear on my needs and friendships. I was really good at validating my personal needs in romantic relationships. I had a whole list of things that I'm looking for in romantic relationships. And because of my clarity in what I needed, I was able to choose a partner that is right for me. But we often don't bring that same logic to our platonic friendships because, I don't know, maybe a lot of us, we don't believe that platonic friendships could be like sisterhood, could be like brotherhood, could be like family, So we just kind of float through here and there without any intention to deepen and to commit. But I think any type of connection with any human could be as deep and as intimate and as vulnerable as the connections we have with our loved ones. And if both parties have that same mutual intention, then I think like literally the possibilities are endless. So a really important thing to reflect on is, what type of connections are we craving? Are we craving sisterhood? Are we craving meaningful friendships? But are our actions in alignment to our hopes for that to manifest in our lives? Like if we are craving that, but we're not willing to be clear and to work through certain disagreements because Working through disagreements, that's like literally a common, no one even blinks an eye when you say that you're working through a disagreement with your partner. But once again, with platonic connections, that's just, it's a little bit taboo. But I would like to ask the question of why? Because any type of connection, for it to be intimate and for it to like really be supportive, yeah, at times it's going to be triggering. Yeah, at times there's going to be conflict and there's going to be a little bit of like, you hurt my feelings, or like I hurt yours. And it's not about finding people who you won't have those types of disagreements with 100%, but it's just finding people where it feels easeful enough, not feeling like we are surrounded by people who fully love us for who we are and vice versa. That type of feeling, in my experience, doesn't go away. And it brings more anxiety, more despair the longer I was trying to suppress it, to go with the flow and to like be calm. The most rewarding things in our life require radical honesty in terms of ourselves. How have we been creating dynamics that we, are not a fan of? And how have we also been choosing people who may not be good for us, may not be right for us? Sometimes it takes time, that's what I would like to end this video off with. That I think in my younger years, I was really looking for connections where I could just, trauma bond with and, feel that like intense closeness with. But again and again, I'm having experiences over the past 10 years of my life where connections where it starts off with that intensity don't really last. Or if they do last, there comes a period where there's a lot of struggle, because forming a friendship due to that initial intensity that we feel is often because of infatuation or rose-colored glasses. So there's just a lot of facing that is required of us later on. So yeah, I'm okay with things taking time. And guys, there's literally so much to this topic of friendships because it's so complex, but I'll share this one thing that I heard in a Dharma talk. Right friendships make the ancient path of love more clear. So it's not about finding people who you won't have any disagreements with, where it'll be easeful from the beginning to the very end, but it's about the feeling states that these connections invoke within our hearts. The body never lies, so honestly, if I just don't have the answers to put in logical words, then I'll just listen to my body. If I feel suffocated, if I feel depleted, if I feel anxious or even angry after interacting with someone, then I take that as a sign of that this person may be a good person, but it might not be the person who is right for me. And just validating that subtle feeling within my body as I re-enter community has been honestly a guiding compass for me to determine whether or not I want to continue hanging out with someone. Often it's not so clear in the beginning, so maybe I'll give it a couple goes, but the body never lies, so the answer will always arise. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is this book. Just the cover makes me so happy looking at it. I just want to share one quote from this book with you guys. Since the main assisting force is within us, others activate what we already have. Assisting forces reflect inner resources. True alliance is about sharing and kinship, not top-down helping. And then I wrote in my pen, OMG, this is why it feels so depleting when someone is projecting / constantly trying to teach, because it reinforces the top-down dynamic. There are also so many other quotes that I've underlined in this book that I could spend 30 more minutes talking to you guys about, but I just want to leave you guys with this resource because I know that, at least for me, it feels, at the lowest of lows, it feels really isolating and sad, feeling like I won't be able to find my community that I know that I need in this life to be fulfilled and to thrive. Just having text to reinforce positive thinking, and also how to find soulful allies and become one to others. Just that little subtitle over there, it has been really warming my heart a lot.